it's time to show you guys this setup. So this is my somewhere around 800 gallon 4-pond setup built on a 355 gallon drum filter. This is my breeding setups for the years to come, but I have no nesting boxes as my turtles haven't got to breeding size or maturity yet. So let's talk about the filter first. So the filter here is built on 3 55 gallon drums, and it's pump fed, but it's also, once the pump reaches up here on this 5 gallon drum, 5 gallon barrel, it's gravity fed for the rest of the entire system. So at the top of this barrel here, this bucket, inside there's 4 layers of Matala at the bottom, and then in the top half is 2 gallons of bio bale. It's getting fed through the top right here, through this tube that comes down, and is in this lowest, the lowest tub. This is a Pond Max pump. I think at 7 foot feeds about 1,500 gallons an hour. So on the bottom of this bucket, there's a bulkhead that has a long tube. There's a lid on this right here, but there's a hole there, and inside there's a bulkhead that feeds a PVC pipe that runs down close to the bottom of this barrel. And inside this barrel there's K1 media and air stone circulating the media. From there, there's a standpipe that looks like an L that connects to this pipe here, so it goes up this way like this, and then feeds into the second barrel. Second barrel is the same thing as the first. It fills from here, and it goes through the media, which this one hasn't fluidized yet, but there's the standpipe there, and the media hasn't fluidized, but there's about 50 liters of media in there. Water fills up, goes through the standpipe, feeds out through this pipe into the third barrel. Same thing here, except for the standpipe that feeds out comes this way into the pond. And then there's a gate here in case I ever want to shut it off. Inside here I have maybe 3 or 4 bags of lava rock, maybe 10 pounds of lava rock in each bag. That was already had good bacteria on it, so that's jump starting the system. And then I have 3 water heaters in this barrel, which heats the entire system, feeds down into this. And another feature of this barrel system is there's a drainage system set so I can clean every single barrel. So if I wanted to clean this barrel, it would spill out through here. Each of these barrels have a PVC pipe that comes out with the ball valve here, and inside this there's a you can connect the hose there. The hose will feed wherever you want it to. I feed it out to the yard, and you can drain each one. There was a lot of setbacks when we were first building this. First off, there was a lot of gate valves involved. So the drainage system had 3 gate valves instead of ball valves. And in between these two, the barrels, there was a gate valve here and a gate valve there, which allowed you to shut it off so that you could fill this and backfill and clean it, but didn't work out because one of them started leaking on this side over here. The first issue we had when we were making it was the bulkheads on here. Well, we started with uniseals, but the uniseals, as you can see down here, is very curved where we drilled, and we probably should have did it on something more straight surfaced. But when we put the pipes through, it started leaking at the seals, so we changed from uni seals to these slip bulkheads, and the slip bulkheads seem to work perfectly fine. So we went with bulkheads everywhere. After that was fixed, this one started leaking when the gate valve was there, and I decided we might as well just change them all. We had a system originally where we had a slip and threaded bulkhead, because on the inside of each of these outputs here we had one of these 2-inch strainers attached on the inside so that the media couldn't backflow through the tube. But the threaded part was only on the outside portion of the bulkhead, and when we put it in, the bulkhead was installed backwards, and that caused the leak, so we had to swap out those bulkheads. And instead now we have slip bulkheads where we cemented in some PVC, and we use rubber couplers to keep them together. We could have put, they weren't perfectly aligned, so we went with these rubber couplers instead of going for other gate valves, though I do have gate valves and extra ball valves. I just decided that these ones are going to be better, because if I needed to move the barrels, I can always just unscrew, instead of, if it was cemented, it's there forever. So let's talk about the system next. The system is made of these 4 175-gallon, they're called Pro Bins, made by Macro Plastics. I had bought them from someone local who makes his own wine, has his own vineyard. So he sold them to me for $250 each, and I had made 2 trips out there over a couple months, bought these 4. So the way that I have them all plumbed together is in between each of these tubs there are bulkhead fittings where they're drilled exactly in the same spot on each piece, on each of the tubs. And there's a 2-inch bulkhead where we cemented in a hose fitting, and then we have a 2-inch plastic hose with some hose clamps. There, when we first installed it, these hose fittings, we had attached them in with what's it called, plumber's tape, but the plumber's tape didn't hold the seal and it started leaking. So instead we cemented them in place and the leak was gone. And we have 2 of those water bridges connecting each of the tubs. So there's 2 here, 2 there, 2 there. All in all, it was 12 2-inch bulkheads. When we first made the pond, we had the 2-inch strainers on each of these holes, and they were screwed in. But what happened was, when we put these plants in, when I put these plants in, the roots were really long and they clogged up the strainer's holes. And in doing so, this side of the tub started to get really high, and that side over there with the pump started to get really low. And this is already the lowest one because it's on the highest ground. So the water level started sinking, so I unscrewed it. But as you can tell, a lot of things would get stuck in it because everything's going to these few choke points between each of these tubs. Next thing was these basking areas. When I had originally made them, they spanned the entire tub, which was a good idea at first, but after using them, I shortened them, made them smaller so that the turtles could swim around the front and back. I didn't want them to hit the legs all the time, so that's one thing. Currently, next thing with this system is the FX6 filters. This one was running on the 2 filters outside, the 2 tubs outside, and I wanted to keep the bacteria running, so I hooked them up here. And I had another one, so I just decided to keep it here until I figure out what I want to do with them. But when the time comes and I remove these two FX6 filters, which is giving the system a jump start and making sure everything's okay, I'm going to install these wave makers like you see here. I already have 6 of them, but this tub gets surface agitation, which is good, but the rest of them don't because there's no water coming in. So wave makers to move the debris to these holes here, the water bridges. Soon I'll install this one over here, blowing everything over here to this side on the left. But the reason it's here right now is because the cord is really short and I don't have a timer on this side. On this side I don't have one, so it won't reach if I wanted to put it somewhere on this side. Soon though, soon. This side here also doesn't have a wave maker because of the FX6, but we'll fix that soon enough. The next thing on the system is the lighting scaffold. So this wasn't the original plan to make this. The plan was to make some type of like 2 pieces of wood on 2 legs that come down and slide underneath these, where it can hold the light. But after a little bit of thinking, I decided that I wanted to go somewhere along this route, where there's almost like a bar all the way down the center of all the tubs, where I can lay these LED lights on top, and also where if I wanted to, I can attach the lights anywhere I want. So these basking bulbs, they kind of sit here and they are attached to the back of this through some screws. All these lights are on the timers right here. These are the Zoom Ed timers. Show the backside in a minute. But what I can do at any point is, if I want to move the distance of the lights, I can install a joist from this back one to the front here, and I can screw into that joist and basically hang the lights anywhere I want. It's also custom, so I've got a screw here to hold the net, and soon I think on this middle one here I'll create a shelf where I can place the food. Soon, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. That's just an idea that I'm thinking about. Let's see. Let's go look at the back side. So the wiring isn't complete yet because I haven't actually figured out how I want to put it together, but here you can see that the basking bulbs hang here on these screws. I just tie a knot here, and then I have these wire loop things to feed everything to these timers here, and I leave them on for a little while every day. There's a second one over there, and you can turn these lights off if you want at any time. But that's basically the whole system. There is if you don't like the sound of water splashing all the time, you can always attach, I have this 90-degree elbow here, but we can attach a small bit of PVC to it, like so. And when you put it in, the splashes gets reduced. But not only that, if you decide that you wanted to go with a longer piece of PVC, it goes directly into the water. Oops. Like so. Something a lot longer. If you place this on here, like so, the splashing goes away, and it still breaks the surface with the bubbles, but just not as much. I'm thinking about moving all these plants out of the way because most of them can't handle this level of agitation, but we'll see. I don't know exactly what to stock this side of the filter, this side of the tubs with, but maybe some fish, we'll see. I do have some shabunkins inside that I might want to move into this pond here, but these plants have just been a problem for a little while, so we'll see how it goes. Other than that, that's basically what I've been working on for the last maybe a month or two. Well, I've been slowly gathering the parts over time, and now this is what we've come to. When you've got that much free time, you figure out a way to make things better, I guess. Oh yeah. They probably never... Some people asked what I feed my turtles. This is Missouri with some koi wheat germ added in. I have a big bag of dried mealworms as well, and that goes into the babies most of the time. And then I also feed them these Zoomed dried shrimps. Other than that, that's basically what they get almost every day. But from time to time I do feed them tilapia, and I throw in red leaf lettuce. But maybe they'll start eating all these little plants. We will see. This guy's not so shy. How are you, boy? Your nails are starting to get long. Alright, that's enough. The breeding projects that I have going currently there are 3 big caramels in here and 1 albino female. Over here is 4 albinos het snow and 1 albino male. And over here in the hatchling one, not really hatchling, I would call them juveniles. There's 2 caramels, 2 het for caramels, and 5 pink belly side necks, and also 1 soft shell turtle, spiny soft shell. That's currently what I have. One of my turtles happened to pass away maybe a week or 2 ago. She didn't get to see the enclosure, but she lives on. Hopefully I can get a couple more. If you like it, if you got questions, you can comment. If you like it, If you want to see more, subscribe.